So yeah, I was just I was speaking to one of the members of the team today, and I said to her, I'm speaking on the podcast with the first ever client of RNT, and she was like, "It's Karan Joshi." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "How did you know?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's top of the list. Every time I log into the database, he's top of the list." And it's a it's quite a special moment to be recording with you because firstly, I mean the fact that you've been along the whole journey with us so far, but also the fact that when I was reviewing the education site the other day, and I noticed that the first case study I wrote was yours, and it was
Yeah.
the Karan Joshi 8-week cut to Ibiza. And I thought, what evolved as an 8-week cut, which just probably tells you like the state of the company we were at the time, right? It was
Yeah.
just like cut, to now 3.5, well, more than 3.5 years later, and
Jeez.
the journey's still evolving.
Yeah.
Where to begin?
Where to begin? I mean, I think it's a blessing as well. It's just good timing that I happened to message you at the same time when you're starting up the company. That was one thing. Having seen all your pictures and stuff on Instagram or whatever. And then you said, yeah, starting up this company. It's like, okay, cool, let's do it. And like so many of the different clients that you have, a lot of people have been training for a while. I've been training for a really long time. But it changed from like sports training to aesthetics. And obviously going to Ibiza, nobody cares about sports. It's literally just the aesthetics, how you look. So I thought, let's see if I can actually get in shape. So that's how it started. Literally reached out to you, 8-week cut. Did it really well. And it was a shock to the system, to say the least. And then I think it almost becomes like a habit. Like, I wouldn't say an addiction, but it's something you enjoy doing. And I love challenging myself anyway. So I think doing that kind of cut really like drives me as well. So I think that's probably why it's still going on, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be good to we'll dive into the evolution of it. But let's just go like right back to before that, because I knew you for quite a long time before that. Like we just knew of each other. We met each other once or twice through a mutual friend, and you were you were a strong tennis player, right? And you spent a lot of your teens playing pretty decent level tennis. I don't know what level, but I remember
I played national. Yeah, I played national.
Because I remember I was like club level, but I remember like the mutual friend of ours, Jamal, and he was like, oh yeah, one of my friends plays really high level, right? But I don't think we ever played with each other. But I just knew a guy who was an amazing tennis player. But once that evolved, like when did that like stop and start? Like what was it like growing up? Like what was your thoughts around body confidence and general aesthetics and how you felt around yourself and your athleticism, etc.?
Yeah, so I think I'll be completely honest. When I was younger and training tennis, I did not care about aesthetics. It was not even a thought to me. It was just be as fit as possible. So my training was obviously a hell of a lot of running, and strength and conditioning kind of came into it when I was about 15, I think. I've always been quite small, like quite short. So that was just one of the things where, you've got this Indian mantra like, stunt your growth and stuff if you start doing weights and stuff like that. So it was something that only when I reached quite a good level and I knew I needed to do it, and I had like trainers then for specific for tennis were saying, you need to do weights, you need to do this, that I started to become really fit. So I was physically extremely fit, like for on-court, and I then like was running like long distance for the county as well, like doing cross country and stuff like that. I ran track as well at school. So I knew my fitness was very good, but aesthetics never even once sort of cared about, because I was always just in shape, if that makes sense. It wasn't like good or bad. It was just, I looked thin, I looked skinny, which is, kind of just goes with that sort of training, I think. But my training was always really intense in terms of work ethic. I've always had that there, which I think really helps for, where we're at now. That enjoyment for training and everything there is always, paramount to what I'm doing. But it's changed so much, like from tennis days to now, it's just completely different.
What was the switch from tennis to how did that tennis almost career transition or end?
Yeah, it died. Well, firstly when I stopped growing, I think that's, but no, in all seriousness, I got injured pretty bad. So that's another thing. I've had a lot of injuries, as you would, playing sports at a young age, and obviously not doing the main stuff like stretching and all that stuff, because you don't find it exciting, right? So when you're a kid, you just want to train, like in terms of hit the ball, but you don't care about the aftercare. So I got injured pretty bad. I tore my abdominal muscles really badly, actually. And that was done because I was doing like the service motion, but like I was doing it with dumbbells because I was short. I was trying to get stronger.
Really?
And I did
it. They were telling you to literally throw a dumbbell in there.
It should have been like, the 0.5 or like 1 kilo just to get the, but obviously me thinking as a kid, like, oh, if I lift heavy, it's going to make my serve faster. So I can't remember the exact weight I must have lifted, but it must have been around 6 kg or maybe even more. And, you do that motion, you follow through. When I followed through, I literally remember the stomach just going. And that was it.
I'm assuming as well, when you're doing that, you're doing it at full pace as well, right? You're throwing a 6 kilo. Oh, God.
But also, with that, you can't even control the pace because I'm not strong enough to even control that, especially that decentric motion when you're going down, you can't control it. Gone. It was literally the weight pulling you down. And that's where that ended. And then, changed from focusing on education and stuff, and then actually thinking of a career other than tennis. And then I was just training after that more, to keep fit or to keep in shape, but didn't really have anything solid because the whole mantra changed. I didn't need to be running as much, for example, so I wouldn't be running as much because it didn't make sense. But then weights, I was kind of just doing, the cookie cutter kind of stuff, looking at stuff on YouTube or looking at stuff that people have told me and doing some stuff. Again, fitness was always decent, was always good, but training didn't really have any strict view of where I was actually trying to get to.
What was your trigger point to think that I want to step it up now, and then I want to make a real change now, or I really want to drastically improve my physical? Did you have sort of a trigger moment, or was that?
I'll be honest with you. I think the thing when I reached out to you, and it's probably a real eye-opening moment, was when you first sent it, you first said to me send pictures of your front, back, and side of your body comp. And I did that thinking, I'm in really good shape, so this is going to be easy. You'll probably say, oh, in 2 weeks you'll be good. And you came back, you're like, oh, it's all right. I was like, oh, that's not good. And I think I realized then, after seeing the types of stuff that you had done, I was thinking, how can I actually get there? Because I've been training for a really long time, and I always thought I had abs, maybe in the right lighting or something squinted sort of thing. But I don't think I actually really ever did, in terms of that understanding of body fat percentage and just general body composition was never there. So I think that was a trigger point for me to see, can I take it to the next level? And the holiday coming up was the perfect target for me, if I'm being honest, because I was like, can I actually look I've been at Ibiza before. I've seen how people look there, don't look anything like that. So I was like, can I even get anywhere near that level? And I think that's when I reached out to you just to see what I could do. And it started from there, really.
Now, here's the interesting bit. You reached out, and I remember very vividly, you were like, right, 8 weeks in Ibiza, and I just want to get in shape. And what makes you because you'd been exposed to quick fixes, cookie cutters, what made you think after 8 weeks, there's a journey after, there's a way to, this is something I want to continue improving at? What flipped it for you? Because that's a real mindset shift that the whole industry needs, both as any sort of fitness company, but also any sort of client coming in. They need that mindset shift around. It's actually a long game. There's more to it than just looking good for a holiday. You were in a position where you made that choice very early on in the company, because the company had just formed, and we were focusing on getting into shape as quick as possible. That's how our mantra was back in the day. And something that I look back and I'm like, oh, we've definitely evolved from there. But 100%. You were almost one of the drivers of that, because you showed that no, it's more than that. What was the thinking there?
So I think firstly the thinking was, okay, firstly I achieved it. I cut massively. I think you remember, I lost a load of weight as well, and I wasn't particularly heavy even to start with. So there was that, and I was ripped. But I think what really changed it was then after thinking, okay, I achieved that, but I want to be in a bit more of a leaner state, have more muscle mass and stuff like that. So it's great to cut, to know I can do it. That was point one. Then wanted to see what I could do if I, for example, put more mass on, and how would I look then? Because this already looked good, but it didn't look. I looked probably maybe a bit skinny when I was speaking to people, and there's so many case studies that you have where families' perceptions are you've lost too much weight. That's the first thing that comes out. So it was okay, well, if I do put on a bit of weight and then I cut, how would it look? If I've got a bit more muscle? So that was point one. I think secondly, enjoying training was a different thing. Having so much structure to it. It wasn't just the weight side of things, but it was the morning walks, the fasted walks, and anything else that I was doing around it. My whole lifestyle changed. So that was another big thing. Lastly was the food and the diet. Biggest thing in the world for me, I think, was that change in the diet and understanding macros and stuff like that. I always used my fitness pal, but didn't really know what I was doing, if I'm being honest. Whereas this was counting it to the gram by the end of it. Literally, what am I having? Being so strict with it. I think when you put all of those kind of three elements in together, when you know you can do it, and then what changes you need to make to see what you can get to, that's what really propelled me to like be like, yeah, I want to carry on with this.
How did you find the process of nutritional education? Because now you're very, you're very educated with your nutrition. That's something, one of the most difficult things that people find to strike a balance with and to understand. Talk us through the process of becoming more educated with your nutrition and what you can implement to make it a lifestyle education versus, like you're not as obsessive with your apps anymore. You can be more intuitive, and that's a journey in itself that takes a long time to get to. Talk us through the journey of that.
Yeah, I think first and foremost that the Excel spreadsheet that you guys, first put out, like in that first iteration when I joined was big because I started looking at it and understanding what like my meal plans and stuff needed to be. I think then a lot of it does also come down to like finding foods and stuff that you're comfortable with, and ways of cooking, because I guess I'm a bit lucky in that sense that I'm happy to have more bland food. I don't really care. Like if I know like food is for fuel more so than anything, I need to eat something, I'll do it. I'm not like overly worried about taste and stuff. So I think I'm lucky in that sense. I know a lot of people aren't like that, but I think just that understanding of what foods will work for me and knowing, basically I think just also having a split of like, your carbs and stuff, when you're going to have them. I think you remember there's times when I was like not having carbs until like my very last meal, or even like my cereal as like my dessert or something like that, it's just that understanding of what you need to do personally. And I think it does vary. Like you can obviously have different people that will be on different paths, but overall I think people find that the food side of things, it's quite specific to you to understand like what actually works for yourself.
And one of the things I always talk about is the trial and error mentality that you just mentioned there. It's a difficult one to get your head around that sometimes, because you can feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall when you feel like you're trying all these different things. Like I remember you were going through this phase of only eating cereal as carbs, or that's the one you're referring to, right? And you're trying to play the game with it all, right? You're like, how can I make this as exciting as possible? So I'm going to make all my carbs cereal,
That was it. I think, like you said, trial and error. I think also, there are like really good substitutes now for certain things. Yeah. I think that has definitely helped. But yeah, I think, as I said, it's like so specific to yourself, like what you can do and how much tolerance you have as well. Like it's really difficult sometimes when you're cutting. I think people don't really understand. And also actually on the flip side, when you're bulking to do it clean, it's really difficult to be doing it in the correct way. And I think just that strictness of knowing the end goal was like the key for me to be like, okay, I can hack this diet for another couple of weeks. I can drop these macros by this much, or, when my carbs are at like 25 grams or, 30 grams or something crazy, I can do it because I know what the end goal will be.
But when you take away that, because if I look back at the 3.5 years, I think you've only spent potentially, we've had like maybe two proper periods of dieting, and the rest of the time has been focused on strength building, muscle mass. But it's not really been any specific goals per se. It's just been more of like, let's just get a little bit better each week.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get your head around that? Because that's, again, like it's a whole different, it's something I wish more people had. It's that ability to I just want to get better this week. How can I get better? How can I be better? Not like I need to hit this thing by this thing.
Yeah. I think it just comes with like my personality. Like I'm kind of the same with training as well, where like, I just want to improve week on week, take it at that. And I think it's like that competitiveness with myself to be like, I want to beat myself almost. So it's literally that. And I have that even now, 3.5 years in, I'm still exactly the same. So if it's my diet and I'm tracking stuff, I want to just make sure it's consistent. I'm very much about keeping things as consistent as possible. And yeah, I literally think it just comes down to challenging myself to be able to do it. That's the key for me.
Yeah. How do you set your nutrition up now in terms of what are you doing? Like if I said to you that, Karan, 200 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein, or it's probably not what I'd say, probably 150 grams protein, 60 fat. Like what's your thought process there? Because now we're at that level where I can just say some macros and you can go off and do it. What's your thought process? Like what's your process to get to the targets?
So protein is really simple. Like I try to get, as much of that from natural sources. So, I know shakes and the bars and stuff are great if you're like on the go, but especially with COVID and being at home, I'm able to eat my chicken, lunch and dinner. That's a staple. And then like for the carbs element, I'm literally having now, I've just managed to have smaller portions of my carbs. So for example, in the morning, it would be like toast, for example. Like if I just needed something, it'd be like one slice of bread and a coffee. I'm good to go. And then my lunch is always the same. So it's rice and veg. And then my dinner is the same, rice and veg. So it's, there's no, it's not varied. Like it's boring as hell, but like I'm used to it. And then my dessert is still the same. It's my cereal. So it's, I maintain that. And then when I need to just drop them, I will just drop the numbers slightly. But the premise of it's the same.
Funny thing is, like, over the years, I've kind of landed on the same sort of diet. Like for myself, it's just like, it's eggs on sourdough, it's oats and whey, and it's chicken and rice, and it's the same thing year round now. And I rarely change it.
Yeah.
And if I'm dieting, I just reduce the amounts. If I'm increasing weight, I just add a bit more. I don't really need to change it now, because I found the foods I like. I found the foods that feel good to me. And I found that feel me really well.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm not really too fussed about variety in the day to day. Like here on the weekends, you might add a bit more, but from a day-to-day perspective, there doesn't really need to be a change, right? And with how busy, like, so I know how crazy hours you work. We were just talking about it before we got on air. It's 4 a.m. till 10 p.m. most days, and quite literally as well, due to the time zones you work on. But you don't have time to think about what recipe you're going to do tonight, right?
Man. 100%. And like, also, like, the big thing is also the bulk cooking, like that a lot of people talk about it in the groups and stuff as well. But, that's been a game changer, having that strictness to be like, I'm cooking on a Sunday and Wednesday, for example, and just be like, those are my foods, those are my meals. So I know I can't change anything. It's already made. I've got to eat it. And it just makes life easier. Those types of things. But like variation and stuff is not like that important to me.
Yeah.
As you said, weekend, have a little treat or something. But I think also now, the position we're in 3.5 years in, I know when I can sort of modify my diet. So for example, if I'm going out and stuff, whereas I think when I first started, it was like, if I'm going out, can I eat anything? Or like, it's literally that strictness. Whereas now I've definitely become a lot more, I would say, flexible with the diet and knowing what I can and can't do, and how, if I do something, I can adjust it the next day or for that week, for example, where that knowledge definitely wasn't there before.
How did you build that knowledge?
Again, I think it's just experience, right? Like, I think it's just experience. I think, I tell you why, because the first time I did the cut, I was only focused on hitting the numbers of the protein, carbs, and fats. And yes, that does make up obviously your overall calorie count, but I was never counting my calories. Like I just focused on the numbers. Thankfully, it was obviously in line because I was doing that to a T. But now it's understanding that your calories are built up, your numbers are there. And if you have to hit 180 grams of protein, for example, and something else, some fat, but then you adjust it and you're still within your calories, they're still on track at least. Before, I wasn't thinking like that. It was literally, I had to hit my protein, fat, and carbs. And if I didn't, something's very, very wrong.
Yeah, that nutritional education really is the game changer. It just liberates you, right? There's so much liberation that comes from understanding what's going on on your plate. And I think one thing you said, which I think will resonate with a lot of people, is using that spreadsheet. And now it's on a drive and it's a bit more interactive, but the concept is still there, in that you've got a core plan and you can make adjustments and you can kind of see what the numbers do. So if you change, I don't know, chicken for beef, you can see what the changes in protein and fat accordingly. And then it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And then next time, then you make a little bit more adjustment. And then each time you do that, you learn. And then when you put into an environment where you're not sure the numbers, you can kind of eyeball, you can kind of make the right choices, and you don't start having on and off days. You just have a lifestyle.
Yeah. So true. True.
With your training, you said, I know one of the biggest things for you love training, right? And it's always good to see, like, when you send your videos in. And what about training do you love? Like, what is it? Like, if you describe to me what you feel like in that set, like what is it? Talk to me through that set and the big sets, and why you love to train. Like, why is it so important to you?
Again, I think, playing sports from a young age and like being like tennis, the competitiveness like is massive. Like, I'm so competitive with most things I do, even with work, which is sad, but it's just like how I kind of am. And training is another thing. So like, if I know I hit, or I'm going for a PB or something, I'm super pumped to get to the gym, and like I'll be anxious, and you've seen like I'm walking around crazy and like doing all this stuff. It's literally competitiveness to say like, can I do it? That challenge is massive for me.
What's going on in your head when you're walking up and down?
God knows. Firstly, have I put the right plates on? And you'll see me, I check the plates like a million times, because I do literally have OCD as well with this stuff. And then I'm just thinking, like, I think all that's in my mindset is just do it. Basically, it's literally just get through it. And also another thing, I'll be honest, when you're videoing, you do not want to fail on a video. Like, that's another thing. Like, see all these failed videos. Obviously, I wouldn't upload it, but it's that is in the back of my head. I need to do it for this video. So there's a few different things, but I think ultimately it's just wanting to do it. Like, I love it. I love that challenge to myself to see if I can do it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the video definitely ups the ante with accountability. Even just with your form, right? Like,
I know
we worked a lot on your form over the years.
Oh man, so much. So much.
Like with the form improvements, but also just the accountability to intensity, because like you just there's no half-ass in it when you've got the camera on, like you're going for it. And then that's always been a
But
big
yeah,
thing.
you're my coach as well. So if I send you a half answer, it's not going to end well.
No. But dude, where's the rest of this? One of the things I always say to people when they send me a half-ass set of like leg press, for example, especially leg press, I like doing on that one. Send me a video, and I'm like, have you got the rest of the video? And and, and without fail, I always get a response back like, no, do you not see the? I'm just attaching it again. Did you get the full thing? And I'm, if I've done it, if you're listening and I've done it to you, don't take any offense. I do it.
Yeah. Oh man, you like. I think that's the one thing you have to like. You have to have some sort of thick skin, because I think a lot of people. If you're the one thing is, if someone's sending you a video they think it's good, that's more often than not is the truth, and they're looking more so for praise than necessarily feedback. I know I was like that anyway. So if I then got it back and you're like, oh, that wasn't that great, I'm like, oh man, what's this going on about? Like literally, it's just like human like emotions, right? You kind of want the good feedback, but having the serious feedback from yourself like is what's changed it, because like especially on my squats, for example, whether it's down to injuries or whatever it is, that has made my squats so much better, to the point where I'm now squatting in the garden from my bins, but the form is there. And I wasn't even having that in the gym on a platform, for example. So, you know, it's definitely needed, but yeah, thick skin with the feedback for sure. You need to have.
Yeah, that's a growth mindset there. Like that's a genuine growth mindset that you've got. And I think that's another commonality in those who do well on this journey, in that being able to take critical feedback and just, and take on board and not be defensive about it.
Yes.
It's something we talk about even in our recruitment, actually. Like it's one of the biggest things is like I'm sure you have it in where you work as well, because of the amount of pressure you're under. It's like, can you take critical feedback? And most people can't. Like it's the reality, right?
It's true. It's true. It's a hard pill to swallow for some people, because like I said, and I get it as well, because I was like that, you know, even now if I still send a video, I'm still, you know, anxious to hear your thoughts, but it's not so much I'm looking for the positives. I'm not like looking for you to say, that's a great set, you don't need to do anything. Now my mindset's shifted, like you said, because I'm expecting you to say, tweak this or tweak that to improve it and stop injury, which is, it's a win-win for me anyway. But it took a while to get used to that, for sure.
Would you say you've always been like that? Or has it been something you've learned across the last couple of years?
Definitely learned over the last couple of years, for sure. You know, I think there's always, I wouldn't ever say like I thought like I knew like everything about working out, but I thought I was pretty seasoned enough to know like what my form is, for example, you know, without videoing. But I thought, you know, I'm doing stuff the right way. But then when I look at it, it's like, no, really I'm not. And obviously you just highlight that in the technique aspects of it. But it's so important, because there's no point in doing stuff wrong. Like it just, you're not helping anything really. And you are exposing yourself to risk of injury, which is the worst thing.
Yeah. If you were to, if you just to break down the last couple of years, what was different in say year 1, year 2, year 3 and 4 so far? Like what's been different in the way you've experienced it?
I think the understanding of the journey is like the big thing. Like, you know, for example, like the Ibiza one saying, you know, 6 to 8 weeks to get cut. It's now that understanding things don't need to happen necessarily that quickly. You know, you always say, you know, there's that whole investment phase is so important. And that investment phase, like most investments, can take time, you know, to actually do it, rather than a lot of people who will jump on and be like, I want results within 6 weeks. That's not really the right mantra. And as you said, the company's evolved from that anyway. But for me, that was a big thing. It's not just about a 6-week lead up to a holiday, train for that and then forget about it. It's more about the consistency day to day with the diet and training, and just generally like looking after yourself, I think is like the big thing. And I'd say that that's changed the most over the kind of few years, because each year I've learned more about that, and, you know, what my body's capable of doing and what I should be looking to do, and the kind of timeframes, being more realistic with that. And I think just understanding of training. So like the splits, for example, you know, like my split's been pretty consistent for quite a while, where it's like, you know, 2 upper, 2 lower, heavy, light. Before I didn't really have that, you know, in terms of what muscles should you train together, how often do you need to train, etc. Like, and it's really good to see that whether it's a cut or a bulk, the training in terms of those splits hasn't really changed that much. But obviously the sets and the weight has obviously changed. But I think being consistent has been the biggest change over the years.
Just learning consistency. One thing you said there around like taking care of yourself, like you've in the time that you've been on the journey, you've definitely had enough setbacks to want to just put self-care in the back burner, right? Yeah. Something I talk about a lot is that when when life happens, you don't just stop your own self-care, because to be able to handle everything that's going on in life, you need to be at your best.
Yep.
But it's very easy to not do that. It's very easy to, when life gets in the way, to stop everything and just think, well, it doesn't matter. Like, I've got to just deal with this stuff. So I can't take care of myself. Or I don't have time to take care of myself, or I need to stop this. Like, one of the defining, like when I think about, so if you just think about this year, for example, you've had enough reasons to just put yourself down, as in like not care about your self-care. Like, what's been why is that stayed for you? Like,
I think because it's that kind of freedom as well to get away from stuff, even if you are like stressed and busy. Like, I think a lot of people will find that gym or some form of, you know, physical activity is like such a good thing for clearing their mind. And for me, it's my go-to because I can let out any kind of like anger or whatever it might be, stress, whilst lifting. And sometimes I can pump you up to do even better, which is, you know, a massive win. But you just feel good after it, right? Like, it's hard to explain, but it's just something that helps you so much when you're stressed, to be able to go to the gym or, you know, home gym, whatever it might be at the moment. And just take your mind off of things. And I think that for me is like, it's kind of like my release, which is, you know, it's the best thing for me for sure.
I said to someone the other day, I said, if it wasn't for training, I think this year, I don't know where I'd be. Honestly, like the amount of shit that's gone on, and I'm just talking about COVID. I'm just talking about it generally, like the amount of shit that's happened. I don't know where I'd be without training. Like, that ability to just go nuts for 30, 40 seconds, a couple times, you know? Like, 100%. Like, you just go to some weird dark place that you can't even describe, and it just resets you. And I honestly think, I can't think of a better way to take care of yourself. And when shit hits the fan, training, nutrition, sleep, you just got to prioritize it. And no matter what's happened.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. That's like, you know, you have your constants, right? And that should be a constant, that you can control. That you can't control a lot of the other stuff that happens in the year, but the things that you can control them well and keep at them, because that's not changing. The other stuff around, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Like COVID, nobody would have seen this, especially for this length of time. But what can you do? At least if you stick to what you're doing, it's the main thing.
It's also a level of respect of yourself. It's respecting yourself, that you need to be at your best in order to deal with everything that's going on. Yeah,
I completely agree.
When you reflect back on some of the journey, like, how's the physical been the vehicle for you? Like, you talk about what the journey's done, like on a bigger level for you.
I think I sent you an email a long time ago where I was like, you know, there's a lot of focus on aesthetics and stuff like that. You know, rightfully so, is how you look, but actually in terms of what your fitness level gets to as well is big, right? You still want to be physically fit. You know, it's not just looking good. And I think there was a point where I was looking, like, my resting heart rate was as low as it was when I was doing, you know, like running for the county and playing tennis and stuff like that. And then still having the aesthetics on top of that. I think that it was like a key to show that this isn't just the look, the change, like in the body, like in terms of how you look, but it's also the fitness has improved so much, which I think a lot of people almost forget about. That the cardio sessions that you're asking them to do, it's not literally just to, you know, peel off those layers. It's actually to improve your fitness as well. And I swear, I think a lot of people, even who are part of RNT, may not even think about that side of things. But when you measure it, like you have a Fitbit and whatever, and you check it and you track it, I love tracking that sort of stuff as well. It becomes so evident that it's the lifestyle changes is everything, but the fitness is huge. And I think that physical for me, especially as we're getting older, more injuries and stuff like that, to know that I'm actually as fit as I was when I was like 16, 17, 18 is massive, you know, and look better, you know, from here anyway. But, you know, it's just, it's a big thing. That's a big thing.
What does that do? What does that do for your rest of your life?
I think, you know, you just feel better in yourself, to be honest with you. You just generally like feel better in yourself. Like, even when it's like the way you look or that confidence in yourself. I think a lot of people would gain so much confidence when they start looking better. You know, I've always been like fairly confident in myself anyway, like in terms of how I carry myself or whatever. But I think that for a lot of people is the biggest thing, is giving them their confidence back.
Yeah.
Just by getting in shape. And you know, that is probably one of the best things, like even as a coach, when you hear that, to hear like someone saying, rather than saying that they've lifted maybe slightly more, which is great, but saying that they've got confidence to go, you know, like topless, like on a beach or something like that, which they never have done before. That's a huge win, right?
And that carries over in everything else you do as well.
Exactly.
It's impacted your work. Like how do you operate on a different level in work?
Yeah, it does, because I've had to like fit in training now, like a lot more stricter, with things. If I'm like training in the mornings or whatever like that, it's that strictness of being able to, manage time to be able to go and get a session in, and a quality session at that, not just doing a session for the sake of it. And then going back to work, it's actually, segregating time to say, okay, this period of time is blocked out in my diary because I'm training, and that's going to be the case. And I understand a lot of people may not have that flexibility to do that, but for me, I can get the training in, and then it impacts the way I'm working, just in terms of like my strictness as well. If I'm doing it with like my diet and stuff like that, timelines, anything that I'm doing with work, it all ties into it, because I need to be able to, if, for example, if I'm behind on something, I won't be able to get to the gym. So I need to make sure I'm like kind of on top of things to be able to do the stuff I enjoy outside of work. And that is training. So yeah.
It anchors down the day, doesn't it?
100%. And training in the mornings for me is massive, because like even then, if things do hit the fan, and like, there's things that pop up which can impact me working out later in the evening, sometimes then you might not get to the gym. And it could be happening where that happens for like a whole week, and then you realize you haven't trained for like 5 days. But training in the morning, you get it done, and then whatever happens for the rest of the day, even if stuff really really bad stuff happens and you have to work till late, you've already got your session in. It's done. So there's no impact to that. And that was trial and error as well for me.
There's one, because you used to train at night, didn't you?
At one point I was training at night, and then I came to the morning.
Would you say that's your super rule? So, like I talk about these super rules, and I say like, if there's one thing that has a domino effect on everything, for me, it's not even actually related to training or nutrition or sleep or anything. It's actually not even looking at my phone. So for me, if I don't look at my phone before 11, everything else feels good. I'm just in my element, and everything, like my whole lifestyle just feels better. I'm in better mood, better shape, everything. Wow. It's just like my phone rule is a big one. That's like my super rule. Have you got one that's similar? Ooh.
Yeah, mine would literally be get my stuff done before the start of the day, because I don't know what's going to happen throughout my day. So like literally that is it. Like if I can get it done before the day, I'm ready for whatever comes my way. And if it impacts any plans I have after, it's fine, but at least I've done my training.
Yeah, that's very common especially for people in more corporate sort of careers where you just can't control some of the days at all, right?
Yeah, 100%. You can't. There's times when you literally just cannot do anything about it.
How's it impacted your relationships and people around you over the past couple of years? Have you noticed a change in your family and your friends? And
yeah, I think like everyone, I think at first people were kind of a bit more like, you lost too much weight, that standard thing. But after a while, when they realized like how consistent I am with things, and the body changes, whether it was putting on weight and then cutting back down or whatever, a lot more accepting of it. I think obviously I come from a family with a lot of boys as well, guys. We all like to train. And I think just it kind of drives others as well to see like I'm able to get in like really good shape, like my brother as well. It's kind of like a knock-on effect when people see what you're doing, that they want to be doing a similar thing, which I think is a really good thing to embrace rather than being put off by it. So in terms of that, it's fine. Definitely going out and stuff is a bit harder when you're like cutting. I think, knocking back like quite a few beers and junk food is, kind of
like your beers, don't you? You do like your beers.
I do like, I love beers, man. I love beers. Yeah. Now I'm on like Bud Lights and Coors Light if I'm having it. So it's, the mind shift changed there. But I find it relaxing. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with a beer. There's like I'm not personally a big fan of beers, but if it fits your lifestyle and you're not having 10 pints, then it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think
unless you're having 10 pints, I don't know.
No, definitely not. Everything in moderation. But I think like I said, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's just learning how I can fit that stuff in now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like I can't do that at all. I know I can, or I know what I need to do, or if it's like I'm having like gin and like tonic or something, just being a bit more like observant of what I'm putting into my body basically, and understanding the effects it will have. But yeah, I think like even from a social aspect now, my friends even know like if I'm coming out, what it's going to kind of be like, and if we're going to a restaurant or whatever, how I will kind of order in comparison to them, for example.
Which is a noticeable difference of like awareness.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's just that people have accepted it. They know that's how I am, and it's all good. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's had any major impact, but I think initially it was kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you like kind of killing yourself to do this? That's gone now.
Yeah, that starts at the beginning, and then after that, it's just once you're into that lifestyle, it's just a different ballgame, isn't it?
Yeah, and people follow it. I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
that's the thing, right?
100%. People after a while they will start following it because they can see what's happening to you, and they're like, "Well, I want that, so let me at least start trying to do it." And I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to speak to you about, which I'd just be curious to know. I don't think we've actually spoken about it, but given the fact that you've been here since day one, how have you found the evolution of the company? Because obviously we now talk about the journey. We have a formalized 5 phases, and these are all the things that I was still trying to formalize when we first started. Like, talk about how the journey's been for you from a different perspective.
I think firstly, I've said it to you before, even when I've seen you like drinks or something like that, the growth has been astounding. Like, it's amazing to see, not even just like, the community of the family of the RNT family growing, but like how many people know about you and the company is insane. Like, I have people messaging me, like even my cousin the other day was like messaging, I need to speak to you about that. But yeah, like my cousin was like, oh, do you know like Akash and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, really well. Your brand has gone so big, right? Like, I think that anyway. It's become a brand, which is insane. I think the evolution of the company, what you said is so spot on, is changed from just let's get ripped. That like, I'm not saying it was ever just that, but it's definitely changed from marketing as maybe just that to people doing muscle building plans and like the investment phase and everything like that, and showing an actual journey has been a huge one as well. But I think that it was inevitable that was going to happen as you kind of had a bit more time, building the company, because people would be doing that naturally. And just in terms of like all the different content and stuff that you're putting out there, like I would never have expected all of this when I first joined, from being honest. I thought it was just going to be like online coach. We exchange an email like every week or something, talk about some stuff, not to the way that you've done things. It's like, it's absolutely insane. It's a testament to what you've done, man. Honestly, this is amazing. But
I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support as well. Like, it's you've been at you've been at the meetups. You came to the 2 years. I remember on the day of the book launch, you messaged me, and it's very cool when you did message me, because I was like our 3-year anniversary as well. So yeah, and one of the things that's really interesting is the bit about, like, it's not just just one online coach on the other side. It's like this.
No, it's not.
It's an education. It's you're benefiting from the experience and wealth of knowledge from a whole team, not just myself or not just one other person, which is typically the sort of remit that people are in.
I think the groups on Facebook and stuff, like people being able to reach out to other people, is huge, because then they know that it's people who have done the same thing and have gone through it in the exact same way. And I think that helps build a lot of confidence in, especially the newer people joining the journeys and stuff, understanding that there's loads of people that have been in the same position. So don't worry, you're going to have times when you don't understand things, or it feels like it's going really bad or something. It's perfectly normal. And I know sometimes even as a client, you sometimes might not want to talk to your trainer about it. It's like in the same way, like if you're having an issue with work, you don't want to tell your manager straight away, kind of thing. You want to try and work it out with the team. It's a similar type of thing, I think. Having that ability and that community, which is so vast now, to be able to reach out to people is massive. And that, that comes through so many different means on Facebook and, whatever else, but it's,
amazing.
Really
what advice would you give to people that are potentially at the beginning of the journey? And then we'll talk about later on, but let's start with the beginning. What would you say is the key thing for someone to be aware of at the beginning?
Accountability, 100%. Like this, the trainers can tell you what to do and give you advice and stuff, but you need to do it. And that's the difference with, like the kind of training that this is more so like online. You haven't got someone in the gym necessarily with you. So it really comes down to you to go and do it, and to do it right, and to do it properly. And, to follow the diet, for example. If you then send a check-in and you're lying, what's the point? You're not helping yourself or your trainer, or your trainer's just going to think, well, something's up here, because they're not getting the results that they should be. So I think accountability to do the training, to do the diet, and to follow it to a T is probably the biggest thing for me personally. And what I would advise to new people, like you have to accept that it's going to be difficult and sometimes like quite strict, but if you want the results, that's what you need to do.
I always think that the accountability to non-negotiables is what really allows you to give your life an audit. When you're held accountable to like nutritional, non-negotiables, training non-negotiables, activity ones, it's like, oh, I've got to make this choice now. Oh, I can't do this when I normally do this. Like I'm stressed out from work. I can't just eat a pack of crisps now. I've got to stay adherent. You start realizing all these different things, and you start identifying where you previously had crutches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that is sometimes, some people will struggle with like how strict it is or something, but again, it's how bad do you want it and what are you doing it for? And I know that that's come up in loads of different posts and stuff that you guys have done. Like what's the goal and what's the journey? Like it's you need to have that in your mind to really be able to do it.
What about someone who's got into the shape of their life, they've consolidated well, and they're deciding whether they are going to go into a muscle building phase or whether they're going to just learn how to, more of a lifestyle solution? What's the advice? I mean, you've done both. You've done the whole like let's stay in shape for a while, but you've also done the let's really embrace the fluff.
Yeah.
Let's talk to each one. Talk to the person who's about to start embracing the fluff, and then talk to the person who's gonna just learn how to stay in shape for a long period of time.
Embracing the fluff was like probably one of the best times of my life. Where, so no, in all seriousness, I think like from that perspective, from even learning from my mistakes, is don't just eradicate the strictness with diet.
Yeah.
Just because you have more calories to play with, that doesn't mean you should be binging or eating crap. Like, whether it's like pizzas or alcohol, whatever it might be, like stay off that. Because I remember I did that we did quite a long bulk, but it was quite a few months. I remember. I can't remember the exact period of time.
It was a long time, yeah. I think it was about over a year, maybe.
I think it was, 13 months, I think it might have been actually. But yeah, I think I didn't, because it was such a long bulk, I was like, I can easily go off track here and eat what I want to. And I did, I definitely did. And I put on a lot of weight. Like for me, I put on a lot of weight, where to the point where I had to buy new clothes, new jeans, new shirts, because it was, I'd put on that much weight. So I think still have a layer of strictness when you're doing that. Don't just go crazy, because then when you do want to cut, it's going to be even harder because you have put on so much excess fat that you probably didn't need.
Yeah.
Obviously still enjoy yourself. I think that's another key. It's not to say you can't, but have some form of moderation.
I think it's whole like not taking embracing the fluff literally and just like, all right, let's just get as fluffy as possible. It's like, no, it's control. That's the whole element of like being able to stay in shape. For me, it's like it's not staying linear around. It's just having control. It's having control that you're putting on body weight, having control that you're staying there, having control you're losing it, and you're the one that's driving it. You're not gaining weight because you're out of control. I think that's the key here. But I think every time someone does an embrace the fluff period for the first time, they always just think, now's the time to justify what I can.
And I did it. And like, I remember it was amazing. But then I remember also because I started my cut, I remember at midnight of 1st of Jan. So like I was out for drinks and then I stopped. I literally had my last drink at midnight and then I went home. And then I was like, okay, I'm starting my cut now, because I was going to Vegas in March, I think it was. So I was like, and I remember like the first pictures I took and I looked at them and I was like, I don't know if I've got enough time yet to cut down. Because I was like, I can't believe how I look. Like I was like, damn. So yeah, definitely don't make that mistake. I think that's what I'd say to people who are.
And keep sending pictures. That's one of the things. Like when you're in that fluffy period, it's easy to say, I'll send pictures tomorrow. I'll send pictures next week. And the next thing you know, it's a month later and you're still not sending pictures. That's when you know. I've been there as well. Like I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing a really aggressive one. I was pushing into 90 kilos. I was on the road to 90. Yeah. And there's a period where I just wouldn't take pictures. I just kept saying, I'll do it next week. And I took them. And I remember sending them to someone and they were like, I think you need to pull it back, mate. I think you've gone a bit too far. And I was like, lesson learned. And now it's like, no matter what phase I'm in, every 2 weeks now I take pictures because it just keeps me in check as an accountability to myself. And no matter what phase I'm in, it'll keep me in check.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the pictures is such a big thing because just to be able to track.
Yeah, and also it's that self-accountability because it doesn't lie. The pictures don't lie. Yeah. You can lie with the stats. You can do all these things with like the numbers.
Even the scale can fluctuate. Yeah, even the scale can fluctuate.
But the pictures tell the story of what's going on. They tell you like, have you really been adherent or have you been slipping up?
Yeah. And you're getting into shape when you want to take pictures. That's another thing. Like when you actually actively want to take those photos and send them, then something's going right as well in your own head. If you can see it, then that's again.
I think there's definitely also merit to taking pictures like year round because and wanting to take pictures year round because there's an accountability element there that you can't run away from it. And whether you send it to anyone or not, I think that for anyone listening, RNT member or not, like I think just taking pictures all the time is important.
Yeah.
Because it's just an account, you can't run away from it, right? And it's, I remember there's periods where, like, remember when I talked about my 2014 story, the consolidation that didn't happen, when I gained all that weight very quickly, I didn't take pictures from my bodybuilding show till another 8 weeks later.
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, I'm just gaining muscle. I'm getting, it's just a bit of water weight. I'm putting on mass, all this stuff. I didn't weigh myself. I didn't take pictures
Yeah.
because I was running away from it, right? It's easy to run away from those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So keeping that accountability check is key.
Yeah. I think it's probably so comforting for people that listen to this to hear you say that, because, you're the founder of this. So yeah, like it happens to everyone. It's good to hear.
Well, there wouldn't be a consolidation phase if it wasn't for that. Like, if it wasn't, if I
Yeah.
didn't make those mistakes, like, there wouldn't be a consolidation phase.
I think making mistakes is part of this journey as well, though, man. To be honest, I think anyone who thinks that they're just going to do it flawlessly is wrong.
Yeah.
Or they're just incredibly good. Then I don't know, but like realistically, that's so tough to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about the embrace the fluff. What would you say to someone who just wants to stay in shape for a long period of time, wants to just stay lean effortlessly, which I know you've done for periods of time where you've just thought, you know what, I don't want to build muscle at the moment. I just want to just stay lean for a long period of time. You've done that as well. Like, talk about how different that is.
It's consistency and routine there. Like, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Once you're in that state and you know what's working for you and you just want to maintain, keep that consistency going and have a routine. Don't sway away from it. Don't be like, oh, well, I'm in good enough shape now, so I can drop this. I don't need to do this as much or something. Just keep it consistent, and the results will stay the same. And the same with diet as well. Like, keep it consistent. Obviously, you can have that flexibility if you're going out to maybe have a bigger meal or enjoy some stuff, and then just tone it down the next day. You can always take an average of I believe you can take like your average of your calories and your macros for a weekly basis, and as long as you're in line, it's not going to be too detrimental at that point. So yeah, I think 100% just be consistent. That's what I'd definitely say to someone.
But what some people would say to that is and struggle with, because I agree with what you're saying, but one of the struggles would be, no, I'm in shape now. There's no really looming sort of tangible goal. How do I stay motivated to keep this? Like, there's a real behavior, mindset, identity shift that needs to be happening. But what was your experience of that? Like,
yeah, because that's so true, because like I did it after my first time when I went to Ibiza, and I was like, yeah, I'm in great shape now, so nothing's really going to happen. I'll just chill now. And I still train, don't get me wrong, I still did do like the weights and stuff, but the diet changed. And then all of a sudden, and it happened quick. I remember I was like, within a couple of weeks, I couldn't see abs, and I was like, that's still not water weight. That water weight's gone now, so I can't keep saying that. And I think it's an eye opener for people who have worked so hard. Why let it go so quickly? If that's the case, like, I know that the motivation changes and stuff, but you need to think about what you put in to actually get there, to get to that point of where you're like, your body's in shape. Don't let it go that quickly, man, because it will happen literally in a week. It takes so much effort to lose everything. To put it on, it happens like that. So that's what I would definitely say. Think about what you did to get there and keep that in mind.
The water weight thing's funny. Like, whenever people start saying that, they just gain a little bit of water. Like, please, if you're saying you gain water, you've gained fat.
I've said it to you. And
you love that one, don't you? I know you love that water weight one.
I've said it a lot of times, and I know damn right it's fat. I know it, but I'm still gonna just tell myself it's water weight, and I know it's fat.
Yeah. I remember I once knew this guy. He was like, everything was water weight. Like, I remember he told me once. He was like, how long until this is like years ago. He's like, how long until your bodybuilding show? I'm like 8 weeks. I was like, I think I've got about 6 to 7 kilos. He goes, nah, it's just a bit of water. Like, you just got a bit of water. Just do a little bit of dehydration. You'll be fine. I was like, are you sure? Like, luckily I didn't listen to his advice, because I was turned off on stage fat. But yeah. If you hear water weight, no, you got a couple more weeks to go. You got 10 pounds to lose, probably more. Yeah. I think people need to be realistic with that sort of stuff. Yeah. That's a big thing. Being realistic is like another thing. Like, I remember thinking like my body fat percentage was low. And there's one email that you got from me, and you're like, oh yeah, you must be at like around, I think you said about 14%. I was like, what? 14? I was like at like 9, or like, below 9. And I was like, that was another thing. It was another reality check for sure. It's understanding these types of things and not getting, because like you can go on like Instagram and stuff and see people like, oh, I'm like, 5% or 6%. People think it sometimes it's, media like puts a real false perception to people of what you need to do. But yeah. All right, so we're talking the lifestyle solution. Let's talk about the person who's kind of coming into their third year. What would you say to them as like what to focus on now, how to approach the process?
I think have a plan of what you really want to achieve now, because you've already like built the foundation, like to say, what the training principles are, what the diet principles are, what's needed in terms of like an intensity and a commitment level. So you're there, all that stuff now. Now you can really plan where exactly you want to go. So if you really wanted to do like a proper investment phase, or if you really wanted to work on just staying lean all year round, put that in with your trainer to say like, okay, now how do I do this and how do I future proof it, so that it doesn't feel like a drastic change. It's just something that I'm doing day to day, and I can do it almost autonomously, like without thinking. That's what you want to be doing. But having a genuine plan and goal that's not short term, I think would be what I would suggest.
What's your personal 12-month plan? What's 2021 looking like?
2021, depending on holidays, if there's holidays that we're allowed to travel, then obviously so genuinely it will be to be in good enough shape that when I need to peel off a little bit of layers, I can do that with ease and not have to, kill myself for 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks or something. I can do it with okay, a month is probably ambitious, but you know what I mean? Like it's not as strenuous. And
you want to stay pretty lean now and just be close to.
Yeah. So I think that you're just ready to kind of go. And I think that's the main goal. And I think also and I could be really wrong here, but I think it's not to say that just because you're maintaining or being consistent that you can't still put on muscle. And I think people forget that it doesn't need to be like a full on bulk, like eat loads just to do it. You can still do it if you're consistent. And I believe you definitely will, because one thing that I do, I definitely, my jumps happen quite regularly. Even if I'm cutting, for example, I'll still be hitting like new PBs and stuff. And that's down to just consistency. It's not even so much about strength all the time. And I think that it's not to say you can't still improve your body by doing that sort of stuff.
One of my things is that everyone should do at least one heavy embrace the fluff period, at least one big one, where they go for it for a long period of time. But after that, I don't think you need to do that sort of extreme again. I think you can get away with staying a lot leaner and just focusing on just showing up better every week. And you'll be surprised just how far you can take your physique and everything else that comes with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm lifting heavier now than I was in my, at my heaviest in that bulk. So, and that's on, I think, every lift. So, again, it's consistency. It's being able to just stick at it and also gradually increasing weight. Don't be an ego, and just try and whack on an extra 20 kg or something. And everything, just do it consistently.
Proof is in the pudding. So Karan, any final words before we wrap up today's episode?
No, I think, look, just genuinely, it's been first member is amazing. I didn't actually know that, but that's pretty cool. I think just to see firstly where the company's gone, as I said, mad props to you. Incredible what you're doing, and just continue to do that, because I know the community love it as well. So congratulations on all the success as well from the book and the audiobook now as well, which suits me a lot better when I don't like reading. So that's going to be a game changer.
I knew you'd done something right when you said to me, I don't buy books, but I don't read books, but I've looked a bit into yours.
Yeah, I did. I genuinely did. I haven't bought a book since A levels, and that was because I had to. It wasn't even my choice. So that was a really good thing. And I think just for anyone that's even tinkering with the idea of joining or looking to do this, this is such a life-changing thing as well. And it sounds drastic, but it's the truth. In terms of the improvements that you get to your physical well-being, your overall look, confidence, everything, it's huge. It's so much more than just gym. I think that's probably the best way I can define it. It's so much more than gym. It's a genuine lifestyle that you build. And that's down to everything, all the principles that RNT kind of distill in people. So yeah, amazing stuff.
The physical is the vehicle.
It is.
Thanks so much for coming on, Karan.
Thanks so much, Akash.